Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Takeaway Club, where I talk to interesting people across different walks of life to get to know their stories and, more importantly, how they got to where they are, including their motivations, habits, routines, and aspirations, some of which we can apply to our own lives. Hey, before we get into the episode, a quick update. Along with the podcast, we now have a newsletter. It's called Beat the Blues, a bite sized curation every Monday with the most interesting and random content that I come across in the week prior. Earlier, I used to do this in an ad hoc manner, sharing an article, giving book recommendations to my friends. That's when one of my friends suggested why not do this in a more organized fashion. And that's why we turned this into a weekly newsletter. Yes, we have seen a great response so far. It's a small, non intrusive email every Monday with a bulletin of whatever content I am currently into. It could be the books I'm reading, the podcasts I'm learning from, tweet threads that I enjoyed, just a small boost to kickstart your week. And hence the name Beat the Blues. So if you're someone who enjoys insightful random content but don't have the time to sit through and do the dirty work of browsing to find them, you're going to love this. It's super easy. Just head over to thetakeaway.club and hit the subscribe button and you'll get the very next one. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. In today's episode, I have an amazing guest and in the recent times, a very good friend, Sahiba Sethi, founder and CEO of HelloMeets. Of course, in recent years, HelloMeets has become a household name for startups and professionals when it comes to learning and sharing the knowledge across a number of domains, from cryptocurrency to design thinking to whatnot. Any topics you can imagine in a typical startup scene. I've been a long-term admirer of what HelloMeets as a platform has established, and personally been curious about their journey and, in particular, the face behind it that made it all happen. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the conversation. Hi,
Hi,
Sahiba. Thank you for
hi.
joining us.
Welcome. Really glad to join. Yeah.
Right off the bat, I have to tell this. One of the domino effects of the current crisis is that's how I got introduced to you. So that's how basically we got connected, and I'm so glad about that. In such a short time, we have built a very good relation here, and it's amazing because a lot of it comes down to simply the kind of person you are, be it your cordial tone or proactively going out of your way to help people. So I just wanted to say thank you before anything else.
Welcome, Krishna. Yeah.
So now you are born and brought up in Kashmir. Right? I have read so many stories on the beautiful mountains or the lovely gardens there, but I haven't really had a chance to converse with someone from there. So that's what I want to begin with here. What is it like growing up in Kashmir? What was your childhood like?
It was very boring, I would say, because it's not like a normal city. I would say that really good villages of India are, I think, better than Kashmir, because they at least have good internet. At least children every day are going to the school. Whereas when I was in school, we weren't going to school every day. In fact, especially in the most important classes, my 10th and 12th, we didn't go to school at all. Mostly, I think I remember in class 12 it happened that right after, I think, last exam when I gave was April, like April 2010. March we had our final boards, and after April, like right in the middle of April, strikes and curfews started happening, and we didn't go to school at all. All we had to prepare is like by ourselves, going to friends' places, learning together. So it was, yeah. So there were a lot of hurdles when it comes to schooling and beyond schooling also, because everything is not normal. Like in other cities, children go out, they play. I mean, of course, you play, but there's a lot of terror, and because of terrorism, of course, there's not a lot of development. Like in other cities, I see there's so many, entertainment stuff for the students, where you can go, you can do stuff. Whereas in Kashmir, we don't even have a cinema hall. So yeah, definitely it was very, very, different, and but at the same time, it has some positives also. So what used to happen? See, a person like me, who is so energetic, it was I feel my energy was very pent up over there. Like it just got piled up because you weren't doing anything. You were just going to, even while there were no curfews. Like for example, my class 8th, 7th, and all. The lifestyle majorly there is you go to school, you come back home. That's it. Again, next day you go to school, you come back home. So there's not nothing more than that, and no many opportunities, no exposure and all. And at the same time, I think it helps also. Like everybody says that some people become better in such scenarios when you give them less, or they're surrounded with less opportunities. So yeah, that's how I feel. There's some benefit to it also, but then it all depends on the person. And I feel I've myself seen among my batchmates, some people are doing really, really well. I mean, it's not that all these limitations have affected their careers. Who
So
has to
it
do, they do it.
goes
Yeah.
on to shape people in their own ways, the experiences
Yeah.
that you had. So, would you say some of those traits are an extension of the kind of platform that you want HelloMeets to be? This passion for building meaningful relationships. Basically, did your experience growing up in Kashmir, uh, has it did it have anything to do with eventually going on to build HelloMeets platform?
See, I haven't thought much about it, but I'm sure everybody's journey, has some effect on what we are doing right now. Everybody has that. But yeah, I know a few things that are definitely come from Kashmir, like I think me being over energetic all the time, because Hello Meets is all about bringing in people and hustling all the time. I think that all comes from Kashmir because I was myself a very energetic person, and all that was unused all these years. So now I think I'm over. Right now, I'm just throwing all that energy out by building it. Yeah, ambitions definitely come from Kashmir because we didn't have much options, as I told you. So, and at the same time, I was fortunate enough that I used to at least come to Delhi and all these big cities during my winter break. So, of course, then you have a huge difference to see as a small child. You can see that, oh, you also get excited by looking at better things, better infrastructure, better more people smarter than you. So definitely that adds up, and I think that has definitely add up to my journey. I was definitely inspired by all this, this life which we get in metros. Then now it's very usual for me, but yeah, definitely that spark, that was a spark for me to think that I want to only do a business. I was very sure when I was in my college. I was already very sure that I have to start a startup. I wasn't sure what startup, but I
Hmm.
was sure that I want to be a businesswoman.
Wow. So, yeah, right after college, you started HelloMeets, right? And how did you
Yeah,
come up
right
with
after
the
college.
idea?
Oh, it's a long story, but yeah, I can let me divide it into small parts. Actually, now I can connect all the dots. So, what happened? I have done two jobs. So, one was for 1 month, and second was for 5 days. So, 1 month was through my college only. I sat for placement. It was a real estate startup called Square Yards. So,
Hmm.
I used to go there. I just went there for 1 month. I used to get bored, and of course, this thing was in my mind that I want to start my own startup. So I was just googling and trying to figure out. Firstly, I didn't know anyone. All this network has come through HelloMeets only. Earlier, of course, I didn't know anyone. So it was hard for because when you are naive, all you think about is okay, with whom will I start up? These kind of questions, basic questions, come to your mind. What will you start up? With who will you start up? So this was coming to my mind, and I didn't have answers to both of them. And then one fine day, I was sitting in my office during that 1 month period. I called Tanmay Kumar Tanmay. We co-founded Hello Meets together. Then of course, like due to I mean, he had to pursue his fintech passion. So now he's doing a fintech startup. So we actually separated at that time. So, so yeah, so basically I called him and he was like 8 years elder to me, but that was the only person I knew who was doing a startup. Otherwise, my network, my college network was like very, they were coming from professional backgrounds. They had to either join an EY, Deloitte. I was doing bachelor's in business administration. So that was the, kind of surrounding I had. No one I heard, wanted to do a business, or yeah, even if they were into business, they had their father's businesses. So very conventional businesses. So yeah, so I called him and he was my cousin's friend. So I met them through another network. So I called him. I was like, "Hey, Tanmay bhaiya," and I called him bhaiya. Can you imagine? Because I was so, naive. And so I remember I called him. I was like, "Hey, Tanmay bhaiya, मुझे startup करना है. Can we, let me speak in English actually. I think because a wider audience will be hearing it later on. So I was like, "Hey, Tanmay, I really want to do a startup. Can we meet? You are the only person I know who's doing a startup, and maybe we can team up." So that time, he was running a car sharing startup, and I was like, and so basically he was also going through a tough time. His business was doing really well, but then he was not able to raise funds and expand further. So that was the situation, and for me it was that I have to find something, find an idea and a partner to work with, and then we met. And that time I had very naive ideas in my head. I was always passionate about speaking, so I was like, hey, let's do one thing. Let's become motivational trainers. Let's take some motivational workshops at NGOs, at hotels for their employees and all. And at that time, I was following Robin Sharma and all these motivational trainers. And plus, because I was very good at mimicry always, so it was very easy for me to, look at people, the way they talk, the way they do things, and just start copying it. So I remember telling him that when he came to meet me, I was like, he asked me what idea do I have. So I was like, I don't have many ideas, but it's just that I love speaking, so maybe we can do this. And I keep watching these motivational trainers like Robin Sharma. Then I used to follow one more guy, Mark Sanborn. He used to take corporate workshops for Starbucks employees and all. So I was very, very, passionate about watching their videos online. So I told him, let's do this thing. Let's start with NGOs because I feel like I'm also a student and even you have not done it. So let's start with NGOs. So we started emailing NGOs. We did a few free workshops for the students. And then one fine day, I did a very funny thing. I call Tanmay at night and I'm like, hey, let's do one thing. Let's go to 5-star hotels tomorrow. And he was like, why 5 stars? I was like, yeah, you don't know. I keep following these people. All these people earn money from hotels because they, in hotels, the customer service and the it's so much customer facing, right? The whole experience, like you put a lot of effort into all that. So I was like, so it's very important over there, and that's why all these motivation trainers have them as their customers. So we should also go. So we had no appointment. We gate crashed into 18 hotels one day. So a few of them were 5 stars, a few of them were 3, 4, so different categories. So I remember we were in Gurugram. We went to Oberoi's, we went to Trident, we went to Crown Plaza, we went to Lemon Tree. Of course, at few places HRs met us where they were free. A few places they just gave us their cards. And I think at one or three places we had a long conversations. I remember one place where we had a very, very long conversation. The HR actually gave us a lot of time, which was, I think, Fortune Hotel. It was on the Sona Road in Gurgaon, I remember. So, I was very confident. I knew that I'm very young, but I was very confident to do all this. Like, to have the guts to go and to tell the HR that I'm a motivational speaker. I will do this with your employees. I mean, now when I look back, of course, I laugh at it. How will I teach them, right? So yeah, so yeah, but I realized I think all this we didn't crack any deal because of course I didn't have any previous customers to show them. But what I learned was if you're confident and if you want to do something, you can do it, and people definitely listen to you if they feel you have some value to provide. Of course, they didn't know that I don't know it, and I don't have any customers. But see, they heard me because they knew that I have something to offer, something to, which can train their employees to, further execute better. So this all happened. And then I remember next day I was sitting at Starbucks with, again, my co-founder. Back then we weren't like official co-founders, but yeah, we had started exploring stuff together. So I remember I told him, hey, we went to all these 18 hotels tomorrow. So now what do I do? What should I send them? So he was like, see, you can't lie to them because you don't have any customers. Because, they had actually asked us to send us them a PPT, which they had to forward it to their headquarters because all these big chains have headquarters at, somewhere else, right? So, so he told me you can't lie, but what I've seen, Sahibha, you have gone mad. You really want to become a motivation speaker. So what do you, why don't you write a book? I was like, book, but I'm not a writer. So he was like, I was like, I'm just a Facebook status writer, which everybody is these days. But see, I took that also very seriously. So I went back home and, I asked him actually one more question that, okay, if you're saying I should write a book, then on what? At least give me some direction. So he was like, write on entrepreneurs. I was like, I don't know any entrepreneur. How will I get those connects? Then he was like, that I don't know. So I went home. I started Googling top 10 entrepreneurs, business world. So what I did, I started putting numbers and media names on the Google, like top 10 business world, top 10 India Today, etc., etc. And whatever lists I got, I started copy pasting the names and, started adding them on my Facebook. And then I had made a very naive message saying, I'm a motivational trainer. And see, I was not even lying because in my head, actually, I was so confident about it because, of course, I was doing also, in NGOs, and we had done a few with some localities also, some communities with their children, whoever, lives over there. So I still have the screenshot. So I used to send them these messages saying that I'm writing a book on top 50 entrepreneurs of India, and I'm a motivational trainer and all. And I remember I used to get lots of replies. I think hardly there were any people who didn't reply, because see, again what I learned was, when you reach out to someone, you have a value to give, right? Like, again, it was about them, because everybody likes to get heard, and everybody likes that you write a story on them. So yeah, everybody gave replied back to me, and I met some really amazing people who were so senior to me. See, first of all, I feel when you start as a young person, a few things keep start giving you validations. Like, this was validation one, the hotel thing, it gave me validation that people listen, you should be confident. Then second, again, the book messages. Then when they met me, again I got validation, because lots of people I was meeting were in their 40s. They were like, I remember I met one guy called Sahil. He used to be India head for Thomson Reuters. So I was meeting all these people, and as a kid, I was so excited. I was like, hey, why the hell are they even listening to me? Like, wow, this is so awesome. They're giving me their time. I'm getting to interview them. I'm getting to meet them like twice, thrice. So I used to make audio notes and all. So this happened, and then of course, this was not giving me any money and all. So then again, and all this while I did not, get in touch with my co-founder. Of course, we were in touch, but we weren't working on any idea. And then one fine day I pinged him, after interviewing a few people, like 3 or 4 people, I pinged him saying that, hey, let's start meeting again. Let's start again, brainstorming ideas, because I need to earn also, and I need to urgently start with my startup now. It's been 5 to 6 months since I've graduated. And then we started exploring some ideas. So first one was some e-commerce idea. We were thinking about bringing some local artisans, stuffs, things made by local artisans together on a platform. Still, I think that did not have natural drive. And then again, I think we experimented with a co-working marketplace for co-working spaces idea. We were bringing together, underutilized office spaces together, and matching them with people who require spaces to work from. And then third was a fintech idea. It was like, you have a hardware machine. Like, for example, you walk into a Zara store, and of course, there are two major counters. Mostly I've seen two, okay, even if there are three. So the concept was basically, if you like a red shirt, at some XYZ corner, or any place, you don't need to go to the main counter. You just have a machine at every place, and you can just swipe your card or whatever, show the barcode and pay, and just exit the store. So it was something like that, but we again, didn't go ahead with that. Somehow, maybe the natural drive was not there. Then what happened? So there was one idea which we pursued very seriously, which was the marketplace, the co-working marketplace idea. And while we were working on that idea, we used to work from SDA Market in Delhi, right opposite to IT Delhi, and that's when I met my mentor. I think I will cover that in the later part. So So what happened then, we had started working with him, our mentor. And when we, suddenly gave up on that co-working idea, he actually asked us that, are you even serious about doing a startup? What do you guys want to do? And that was, when he asked me a question, simple question, what do you love doing? I was like, I love meeting people. And see, I was not prepared for that answer. That was a very, very spontaneous answer. So yeah, actually that gave birth to HelloMeets, that simple question and simple answer. So then he was like, what do you want to think about then? Like, just go and, make business out of helping people meet and learn from each other. That's how it happened. Yeah.
It's amazing. Your story kind of reminds me of Netflix's founders, Mark Randolph. He was very keen on starting something up on his own, but he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. One day he used to come up with some personalized shampoo, something. Basically, all he wanted was start something through internet. I know that's where the future is, and that's where I want to start doing something. So every day he used to come up with an idea to his friend Reed, who eventually went on to become the CEO. And eventually that's how Netflix came into picture. All he knew was he wanted to do business on his own. And one after the other, after several failed ideas in his own account, finally they landed on Netflix.
Oh, that's interesting. I will definitely read about him online.
That's an amazing book. You should check that out. That will never work by Mark Randolph. So, what was the first few months like between when you had the idea for HelloMeets and your first meetup?
It was all about hustling and getting to meet our initial users, which again involved a lot of manual effort. So the ways that in which we went about it was so frankly speaking, initially HelloMeets was about bringing people together, but it was not about learning. So initially our first few meetups were about hiring. So we were doing speed dating hiring events. So what we did, when my advisor told me that, go ahead with building a business about helping people meet. So see, we wanted to have some base, right? We had to identify because there's so many reasons for bringing people together. We had to, choose one. So what we did, we went to Facebook groups. We started basically, penning down different posts that are happening in those groups, and we actually, started marking them, how many posts are coming from what category. And we realized, we observed that most of the posts were related to hiring, and that gave us validation that more people need hiring. Okay, hiring is something like there's a lot of frequency and there's a lot of need. So then yeah, so we started building a database for people for a hiring event. So what we did, see, for the founder side, it was very simple. Till then, because of my book and because of all those hustling times, I had built a certain level of network. I mean, not a lot, but yeah, I knew a few founders by then. And then see, founder side was still a little easier when it comes to hiring, because they anyway need to hire, right? And of course, the major side was the supply side. So in case of founders, what we did in 2015, I remember we had all these famous startups like housing.com. Then we had I think one something similar to Grofers we had. I don't remember, the Pepper Tap or something. I don't remember the name now. Okay, so Grofers also came then, I remember 2015. So we made a list of all the famous startups that were, during that time that were famous, top like 10 to 15. And we started reaching out to their founders. So I remember having a call with Santosh Panda from Explara. I remember having, call with even Rahul Yadav from housing.com. So everybody, again helped, and again, again that same nature came, helped us, that we didn't have any inertia in reaching out to anyone. We were very, very active. We had we weren't shy. We used to just ping anyone. We didn't think who is what. So we used to just ping them, and they were just super helpful. So this happened. So this is how we got the founder side, the side that had to hire. And for the employee side, similar thing we did. So we had maintained a sheet of the popular startups. We started adding them on our LinkedIn. I didn't even have a LinkedIn account by then. So I remember I started LinkedIn account because of HelloMeets. With that, I didn't have, when I see these days, students having LinkedIn account, I feel, wow, like they're so smart. I was so dumb. I didn't even have a LinkedIn account. I don't know why. So anyway, so I started with a LinkedIn account in May 2015. And then yeah, I started basically adding all the employees. I used to go to company pages. I used to add all the employees, and I had made a pitch, saying, I don't remember the exact pitch, but it was something like, we are making you meet directly with the founder on in a speed dating hiring event. Would you be interested? And we used to, put a link and people used to sign up. So I think this activity went for, I think 3 months. Yeah. I think we came up, I remember the date also. We came up with the HelloMeets idea on the 20th of February. 2015, and we had our first event on 23rd May 2015. So all these 3 months were about this. And also what we did was, because we were working from, the market, which is right opposite to IIT Delhi. So we went to IIT Delhi. Then we also went to all these top engineering colleges like DC, Triple IT. So we went to these colleges and we used to carry a notebook and a pen, and we used to just wait for, students to come out of cafeterias, out of their classes, and we had made columns like their name, their email, their number, what skill sets they have. So, like this, we built a good network of the supply side.
Now, I know you talk a lot about mentorship and your mentor in particular. So, who's this person, or if there are more than one people, who are some of the mentors who have shaped up your journey?
So I only have one official mentor, which is who's Vishal Chandra. He has actually, mentored a lot of startups. He's from IIT Delhi. Again, I met him in that market only.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Again, that incidence is very interesting. Maybe we'll talk about it later on. So, yeah. So he's one, and other than that, there's one more person who has helped me a lot. His name is Ashutosh Mishra, again in the same market. So I think actually that SDA market is very famous, in Delhi when it comes to startups. You find everybody from startups over there. So it's that kind of an area. So yeah, these two people are there. So Vishal Chandra has been there, since the idea phase, even before the idea, as I told you, like we met him before HelloMeets idea came up. In fact, he was the one who asked me that question. So that's it. And I think online mentors I have a lot. I mean, they don't know I'm their mentor, but I feel, see, who's a mentor? Who basically opens your mind. And I think our thoughts and our opinions should keep on changing, because there's nothing right or wrong. That's what I feel. And I'm not rigid about my thoughts. I mean, I might be rigid this particular time, but I'm not rigid about keeping them same ever, always, So I think even if you look at, I think I've learned from Naval Ravikant, I've learned from Sahil Avanjia, I've learned from David Perel, like all these people, I follow online. So yeah, I think they are mentors. They don't know that they are my mentors, and I feel they're mentors to a lot of people.
Those are some of the people that I actively follow as well. Naval Ravikant in particular, he's like, I worship the guy. It's amazing. I have this friend, Surya, from All About FPL. He runs a football community, super popular in the sports side of things. And I occasionally send him a list of dream guests for the show, like Girish or Tristan Harris. And whenever the subject comes up, I'm always like, the day I get Naval on the podcast, that is when I'm closing shop. Nothing else can top that episode.
Yeah. But my favorites keep changing. Actually, these days, I think I'm really fond of Basecamp founders these days.
Oh,
yeah.
Jason Fried. Okay? That's someone
Yeah.
I admire as well. So I want to switch gears at this point and focus a little bit into HelloMeets in particular. So you are based out of Delhi, but you conduct events in Bangalore, Chennai. How does it work? When did you first start branching out?
We started branching out in the first year itself, but then we stopped for some time. I'll tell you how. So in May we launched in 2015, and I think in September we did our first event in Bangalore. But then at that time it was too much manual effort, because see, I think once you build a good community, you don't need to go anywhere, first of all, right? See how Reddit is working. I mean, of course, we are not at Reddit level right now because we don't have an online community. But see, definitely the strong offline community has helped me in whatever we have done so far. So, but initially, we didn't have. Who will you ask, for help if you don't have a community? Initially, of course, it was not in the form of a community. So we had to specially, fly to Bangalore, host a hiring event, and then come back. But then it involved a lot of cost, and it wasn't scalable. So we just stopped for some time. And then what we did, I think we officially launched in 2017. By then, we were very, of course, we had done tons of events in Delhi, and then there were a lot of people who already knew us, in Bangalore because they were watching us online. So I think there's something very beautiful about time in all the aspects, So with time, some things, in some cases, time is the solution, because if you do something for a lot of time, so many people know you, so many people start trusting you. So even, the funda is, even if you don't go to US, I'm sure if you do something for 5 years, something for 4 years, lots of people already know you in US. So basically, it becomes easier. So that's something very, beautiful about doing something for a long time. So similarly, in Bangalore, when we launched, it was so easy because already so many designers, already so many founders knew us. And they didn't taste the event because we didn't do anything over there, but they knew that there's something like HelloMeets because we used to keep posting on social media. And and then I started with few local partners in Bangalore. We had two local partners, but then again, when the community became of a certain size, we started doing everything community driven. So we didn't have any particular partner. Anybody could host an event. Like if, for example, if you love podcasts, if someone is coming to give share knowledge on how to run a podcast, successful podcast, you can go to an event. So anyone can do it. We have a we have a guideline which you need to follow. That's it. So I think, yeah, the community helped us in going to Chennai. So I never went to Chennai. I recently went in January, but we were doing events there since past 2 years. So 2 years without anyone from HelloMeets going to Chennai. Just an example. So yeah, and in fact, I've never went to Toronto, but we have done, I think, 4 to 5 offline events in Toronto.
Oh,
Now, of course, it's online. Then Singapore, I've gone once, but again, in Singapore, I think again we have done 10 to 15 events. Yeah.
it's amazing. So let's rewind a little bit here. When you just started HelloMeets, you mentioned how you've been doing only paid events from day one, right?
Yeah.
From the very first event. So what was the response like? Because at least from my perspective, we as a society have some weird notions, right? I'll spend money on food, I'll spend money on firecrackers, but when it comes to movies or content, I'd rather torrent. We have our mindset on money basically, on what we'll spend and what we won't. Did you have a hard time convincing your first few customers that this is an investment worth making?
Yeah. I'll definitely tell you about it. So see, we didn't have hard time convincing them because first of all, the people who don't want it, we didn't go ahead. We didn't go after them, so we don't have to convince. So we already knew that a few people will take it and a few people will. There's a certain set will take it and others won't take it. So yeah, definitely. So what happened? So see, first of all, our first event was hiring. So hiring is like a very, it's something very obvious that people need it. Even the people who are looking for jobs, they need it. Even the companies need it. So in that case, it was very easy. People paid it, and I remember I think we had charged startups like 2,000, 3,000 for the event, and the candidates were also charged. Just to maintain a seriousness level. I remember we had charged them 200 per person. So they were actually filtered, and then the people who got selected, they had to pay 200 to come and get hired. So yeah, we have been very, very, we have curated our community really well from the beginning. Always, we never thought, they have to take jobs, so why will they pay? So yeah, curation level has always been very high, and yeah, you're right. Actually, those kind of we have that mindset definitely. And that time, very few events were happening in 2015. Whatever events were happening by maybe NASCOM or maybe a few, free events like in co-working spaces or maybe run by a few VC firms and all. And I remember actually that time we were very nice. I remember, we didn't meet a few VCs, to raise funds, but just generally, we, like, for example, I remember we went to a meetup once. I won't remember name the VC, but that VC partner, he was a partner. He was not even an analyst. He told us that, we had not even launched then. We just told him our idea. He was like, he actually made a very rude comment. It was not even a, see, one is a very genuine way of saying, right? And one is a very, I'm sure he didn't have anything wrong in his mind because, of course, he didn't know me. He had nothing to do with me. But, his tone and his way of saying it was really bad. I still remember. But it's fine. We have done it now. So he was like, we told him our idea, and he was like, take it in written. Events won't work. No one will pay you. Wow. Don't waste your time. No one will pay you. So that's what has happened. Definitely, lots of people used to tell us no one will pay you. Still, when a few new people are introduced to the community, they sometimes they a few of them definitely have doubts. Say for example, if I'm meeting a new person, a few people definitely still even now they have doubts that when I tell them that we do paid events, why do people pay? They have those doubts. See, but I feel you should know that you can't keep everybody happy and everybody won't buy your product. It's simple, right? Like even we as consumers, we don't go to an expensive, I mean, not every consumer would go to an expensive parlor, right? Even if we don't, I mean, it goes with everything, even a coffee. Most of the people will have a nice cafe. So, I mean, I'm not saying that HelloMeets comes in the luxury. I mean, just an example, everybody won't buy it. I mean, even if you look at me, I used to not read. So earlier, I mean, of course, first of all, I didn't want to read. So of course, why will I buy a book? So I'm sure if at that time you asked me that, if you asked me to spend 5K on books, it would have looked like an expense to me, but now it doesn't. So similarly, the people who genuinely want to work, HelloMeets is for them. Who don't want to learn, it's fine. They can learn it for free. They can learn it from the conventional ways like college, school, and all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. I want to get back to this point in a little bit, but since you brought up the idea of VCs, I had a follow-up question on that one. So when you were starting up, was there ever a question of whether am I going to go the path of funding, or am I going to bootstrap this one?
See, in my case, I was very lucky. I didn't have any doubts. I think this is also a form of doubt, and this is also a form of question that you try and answer before starting up. Mm-hmm. Lots of people, I feel, a few questions they have in mind before starting up. What is the idea? Will it make money? How will I get money to start it? I was so naive, which was an advantage. I was super naive and I was super positive that I didn't think about these questions ever. I mean, I never thought. I mean, initially, when we launched, I just started this out of love. I loved meeting people. I wanted others to meet people. And we started with the hiring event. I mean, from that day when we came up with this idea till the first event, I mean, I don't remember a single day when we thought about, we didn't, I mean, this question was not in my hand. I just had basic things in my head that, I have to bring in founders. I have to charge this much. I have to build a one-page website. I have to get the candidates. I mean, I've never thought about it. And if you want my mindset for now, I mean, present, I don't have anything against funding, but I feel you should only raise it when, you feel it will benefit you. Right now, I don't think we should go ahead with it, because I think first our base should be very strong. I mean, I know it's been for 5 years, but still there is a long way to go. I don't know when we will do it and why we'll do it. Maybe we will never ever do it, but if we do it, we'll do it with a strong reason.
Got it.
Right now, I feel I have a long way to go. We have to build it stronger, yeah. And if you have money to run the basic stuff, it's okay. I mean, there's no need to get into funding mode. Yeah.
Got it. Now, at what point did you realize? Okay, this is it. This is what is going to define my entire adulthood. HelloMeets is what my next 5-10 years is all about. Was there a particular period between these 5 years?
Okay, frankly speaking, there was no particular period. I've just been lucky enough to, get into something I really love. And the most strange part is that I did not, realize my love myself. Like my mentor made me realize by just a simple question, what do you love doing? And I think now I have a very strong opinion about all these things. I feel it's very important to start what you love, because otherwise you won't be able to do it. I'm sure I would have also left HelloMeets if I did not love it. Definitely. Because I think now it's been 5 years. Initially, when if we were doing this podcast when HelloMeets was 2 years, 3 years old, I think I would have just been, just spoken about the positive part, but definitely there are negative sides to it. I mean, running a startup, there are lots of problems that you face. And I mean, even if they're not real problems, there are a lot of, emotional problems, as a founder. Like there's so many, they're endless, and they're almost happening every day. So So I think the whole concept of actually choosing something you love is very important to make it big in life. I mean, I've not made it yet, but I'm sure. I mean, something good and impactful will only happen. And still, even now, at least I'm satisfied that yeah, whatever we are doing is at least helping people learn, meet, get jobs, get partnerships, etc., etc. So it's okay. Whenever it has to happen, it will happen. Yeah.
So before we wrap up for the final segment of the podcast, I want to ask some of my favorite random questions. This wouldn't have anything to do with HelloMeets or even startups in particular. If you could dine with any person in the world, it could be an actor or a businessman, could be anyone. Who would you want to have a conversation with over food?
I have to name only one.
Yes, that's the rule.
Okay. Uh, that's a tough one. Okay. Uh, One person. Reddit founder, Alex. I would love to learn from him how he built Reddit, mostly the online community part. I would love to learn from him. Reddit is such an amazing and a huge community.
That's nice. So, on to the next one. If you could gift 100 copies of any book of your choice to people, something that has impacted you the most, your favorite books, it could be from any genre, which book would you give?
Which book would I give? I think Skin in the Game by Nissim Khalid. The reason is actually, it teaches you why having a skin in the game is really important. People who have skin in the game, they end up learning the most. They end up, suffering the most. I mean, the pain, because you are actually the person who is responsible, accountable, doing everything. So that's why I like it, and I feel Nissim Talib is a very very deep thinker. He gives 100 examples for just one thing in different ways, which opens up your mind in multiple ways, which is very important, to uh, know multiple reasons. Then you can think in different ways, and actually, it's not always important to follow someone blindly. You can always question. So I think that giving so many examples also helps you in doing that.
That's awesome. Sounds like a very interesting book. I think I'm going to add that to my reading list. So, moving on to the next one, what is a habit that you have picked up in recent years that has had a transformation in the kind of person you are?
Okay. See, I think there's no one habit, but there are many habits which I've cultivated in the past few years. I think number one, managing my own mind. I mean, because as a founder, you're facing so many problems. Always being positive and always basically being aware of how you're thinking, what you're feeling wrong about, and trying to maintain calm and trying not to lose track. That's one of the things. Then I'm very this thing. Last year I wanted to join gym, not to lose weight, but majorly because I felt that we are all the whole day we are sitting in front of the laptop. So I made a promise to myself that I'll go the whole year, and actually I did. I went for I think 11 to 12 months for every day almost, minimum 5 days per week. And what I used to do is, even someday if I was very busy or something, I used to sometimes I've also gone for only 20 minutes. That might sound funny to a few, so I used to just go for 20 minutes, just do the treadmill and come out. But my major aim was that I have to maintain that consistency in doing that. I think one more important habit is a very important habit to build as a founder. So lots of times, people will criticize you on WhatsApp group, on Facebook, on Twitter, in real life. So I think you should remain calm that time. First of all, see, sometimes I think you lose it. Not because you are getting affected. I mean, affected in the sense not that your opinions are being changed by them, saying a lie, but sometimes maybe you're in a different mode, and of course we are also humans. How proper can we become. But yeah, I think that is very, very important. Sometimes I still lose it. Sometimes I lose it. But yeah, most of the times I try and, avoid commenting to such things. Let them say whatever they want to say. Yeah, because there are different kinds of people. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're jealous, sometimes they're generally criticizing. So I think that is also a very important thing, which I've learned to a certain extent, but then I still fail sometimes. Yeah.
What is one piece of advice or a word of caution that you would want to give folks who are looking to start up?
Okay. Can I not restrict it to one? I think that will be better.
Sure,
But I
sure.
can.
More the
Yeah.
better.
Okay, cool. So first of all, number one rule, I think you should not start up for the sake of starting up. You should really start up something you love if you want to make it big. I mean, if you just want to start up for the sake of it, then it's fine. But definitely, if you love something, it will lead to everything. You will be more focused. You will be able to cultivate whatever habits that journey requires. But only if you love it. If you don't love it, of course, you won't care about it. And second, you should try and stay away from noisy things like funding and all. I mean, there's nothing against it, but if you really require it, then think about it. Otherwise, just think about the fundamentals. I mean, just think about the idea, getting your customers, talking to them, change. I mean, keep on iterating a product, make them test your product, get some money, and then think about all these things. Then I think third, what mistake I see people doing is they keep on giving too much importance to this question that I want a co-founder. Why? You don't need a co-founder. I mean, of course it's an add-on, definitely. I mean, I'm a single founder. I won't say that it's easy, but I mean, it's not the only thing that you require. It's important to have the right kind of co-founder, and I mean, it's not a prerequisite to start a startup. You can start it alone. See, at the end of the day, what does a co-founder do? He works with you, right? You also work. He also works. You both contribute. So you can have that from your teammates also, right? So you should not go ahead with finding a co-founder for the sake of finding a co-founder. I see people, texting uh, texting people these days that, hey, can you help me find a co-founder? No, it can't happen like that. It's like a marriage. It's like telling someone that, hey, can you find me a girl for a marriage? That's what I believe. And fourth, it's a very silly thing which people do is, they get their cards printed initially. So I feel, and mostly what I've seen from my experiences, mostly these kind of people actually fail also, who look too much, who think too much about these questions and who go towards shiny objects like getting a card printed. Focus on the fundamentals, focus on the basics, which are needed to, take off the business. That's it.
This is very true. Yes, I remember even Tim Ferriss, who's like the demigod in podcasting. He mentions the same point as well. When he was starting up, all he cared about was the product. That is how each episode is going on, and not about sponsorship or having world-class technical equipments. So in the initial stages, I think, like you rightly put, the most important aspect is the fundamentals, which in most cases is the product that you're working on. I think that's a wonderful piece of advice for people who are just starting out.
I think same goes for mentor also. People also, some people also get stuck here that they keep looking for a mentor and they are like, from where will I get a mentor? I've seen that, and they just don't start up till the time they don't get a mentor. And that doesn't happen like that, right? See, it's not a school system, conventional system. You go to a school and a teacher is assigned, she'll teach you. It's a very natural thing. It's a very unconventional thing. Like in this case, this works that you work and people will help you. And the people who will help you, out of them, one or two or a few will become your mentors automatically. It's an organic process.
Wow.
You can't go and pitch to people that, hey, I am looking for a mentor.
That is very true. It is one of those relationships that just has to fall in place on its own. That's wonderful, Sahibha. So before we move on to the final question, which you get to ask me, here's the last question for you. imagine a billboard in every town in the world, and millions of people across the world, they get to see the billboard, and you get to decide what message goes on in the billboard. So, what would it contain? What would be the message that you want to share with people? It could be a quote, or it could be a saying, could even be any piece of advice that everyone gets to see and benefit from.
Here I want to be sound very selfish. Hello Meet should be written on it with a tagline: "Come and learn from the best startup experts." Yeah, that's it.
That is a very unconventional answer, Saiba. But I guess it makes sense. At the end of the day, what you do is you facilitate this platform for people to learn and share that knowledge. So I
Yeah,
guess
that's why I said, it's a very selfish answer, but yeah, and but a genuine one. Yeah.
that's lovely. So now we reverse the tables, and before we sign off here, uh, you get to pick my mind on anything that you want to ask, get my opinion.
Yeah, I love to ask you, why did you start with this podcast? What's your aim? Focus area, I mean, I have seen on your website, you cover almost all kinds of people, musicians, entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
So what is the common thread? I mean, what is the, one line pitch of your podcast if I ask you? Yeah.
Wow, that's a very interesting question. So I think I'm gonna do a very lazy work here and copy paste the tagline that I came up with. It's basically insightful conversations with interesting people. So one of the things that when I was starting up and something that I'm still experimenting is, should I stick to a niche? You have a lot of podcasts that covers SaaS in particular. You have people covering only founder stories, and that's when I figured my area of interest is not defined to any one domain and not about the product as such, but it's more about the people, the faces behind these journeys. So a lot of people know Hello means what you do, what kind of a community it is, but I'm not sure how many of them would know the story of how this came to be and what is the thought process of Sahibha, the person behind this idea. So I'm more interested in the stories of these amazing people like you, uh, more so than the products that you have built. I know there are a lot of people who are keen on the products and the services that these people provide, but as someone who's fond of anthropology or basically how we humans function, I'm always interested in hearing a person's perspective, their thoughts, what ticks them basically. So that's how I didn't want. That's why I didn't want to stick to any niche in particular. So I wanted to keep this as wide ranging as possible. So today this could be a CEO of a startup, and tomorrow I might bring up veterinarian and hear about animals. So it could be someone working on a vaccine. So you never know, right? I don't want to restrict myself saying this is the space that I'm going to focus on. So it's just going to be insightful conversations with interesting people and something that we all can take away from. So that's where the name is also coming in, right? So even when you look at the conversation that we have, some people might be interested in your Kashmir story. Few would be interested in your lessons for young people who are starting up. So I don't want to narrow down the possibility of having interesting conversations. So I'm
Okay.
just throwing a huge net here and just want to catch on whatever comes in there. So that's my idea.
Great. So are you passionate about, covering a specific set of people? I'm sure there must be your favorite areas, right?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure music and everything can't be your passion. Like,
that's
what are
true.
your passions about?
Yes, that's yeah, that's actually a valid point. There are some conversations that I'm naturally more inclined toward. For example, I did one with the friend I was mentioning, Surya. There we spoke about football for about 60 minutes. So nobody in my network watches football or follows the sport, but we still ended up having an hour-long chat because that's something that I really love and spend a lot of time on. So psychology is another subject that's on the same lines there. I'm someone who just likes to learn a lot of topics. I don't want to. I think one of the beauties of life is you have so many people with so many vivid journeys, and I just want to get to know as many of them as possible. I may not be as much invested in one story as I am with something else, but I'm equally fond of all the stories.